What's going on, motorsports fans? This is Jared here with the Bearded Garagistas. Always with me is my brother Brett, and today we have Rennie Bryant with us, who runs Redline BMW motorsports shop. He is ingrained in endurance racing, BMW racing, all things BMW for the last 50 years.
Yeah, at this point,
50 years. So it's been a long time. Rennie's been around. We appreciate you coming on the show, and
thanks for having me.
Yeah. So let's get the question out of the way right at the get-go. Why BMW?
It's just something I got into a long time ago, and I had my first one in '71, and nobody knew what they were. And pretty soon I figured out, well, I'm going to have to figure out how to fix this if I'm going to keep it.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I figured out how to fix it, and I started fixing other people's, and this happened.
Just like that easy.
Pretty much.
So you had the first one in '71. When did you open up your shop?
76.
Oh, so not that long after that.
Well, it was a parts store before that.
Okay.
And then I started doing repairs out of the back. And then the repairs got to be better than selling the parts. So
Right.
it expanded like that.
Wow. And then when you first started, it was one bay? And
One
just
bay in the
yourself?
back of a one bay shop in a strip mall.
Wow.
No lift, no nothing.
And where are you at now?
Now we have 7 bays and 3 buildings.
That's pretty impressive. That's a good growth.
That's what longevity, dedication will do.
Yeah. Well, like people ask me how long you stay that long. I say all you have to do is treat people like you want to be treated. That's all you got to do.
Best
Right.
way to run a
If you
business.
treat people right, they'll come back. And we have customers who've been coming to us for 40 years. And their kids and their kids.
That's pretty cool. So yeah, I personally, I never got into BMWs. It was never
Yeah.
my thing. But usually, for most people, I feel like once they get into a BMW, they never leave.
Right.
It's something that kind of sucks you in. Why do you think that is? What was it for you?
It's the feel of the car, the quality of the car. They make a lot of power for what they are. Back then, they weren't that expensive. It was pretty decent. You could do it it wasn't a big deal.
Right.
Now, of course, they've gone crazy, but they still have the same basic feel.
I had a buddy of mine who, you remember Justin Rizza? We had a goalie on our hockey team.
Yeah.
I think it was like his grandfather gave him a car. It was a BMW. I think it was a 5 Series, but it was a manual transmission.
Yeah.
And he parked it in the parking lot one time at the racetrack at the hockey rink.
Yeah.
And he left the window cracked just enough to where our skinny friend Johnny can get his arm in there and unlock the door. And then we put it in neutral. And this was his baby. I mean, like
Right.
he was polishing this thing in the parking lot of a hockey rink or something. Like, that's how much he was like in love with this car. We put it in neutral, and we were able to no power steering, but we were able to push it across the parking lot. And he can't watch his face coming out of that. It was
Not seeing it where it was supposed to be.
it's the greatest thing in the
They
world.
just lost it.
Yeah. So I did some research, as I always do, and
Right.
BMW's been around for a hell of a long time.
100 years.
Yeah, 1913, I think it started. It was Rapp Motorworks, and they did the aircraft engines in World War I, and then not too long after that, 1917, they changed it to BMW, and they created the logo that is of much controversy.
Yes.
In my research, I found out that the logo is not propellers, but Rennie believes.
I still believe it's a propeller. I know it's the state colors of Bavaria, but it still looks like a propeller.
It
'cause-
It
definitely
does look
Yeah.
like a propeller.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
And it's on the front of the car. What do you want?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They put it right in the middle in the front of the car.
Yeah.
I think it probably is. So I also found out that the 328 model's been around for forever, and I did in research, I found out that the 1939 is the one that I found was my favorite. What's your favorite BMW? If you could pick any one to have to
A
hold.
3.0 CSL, the Batmobile.
Really?
That's my favorite. The 74 5.6 edition that
knock
raced
that.
IMSA and World Series. That was,
Okay.
Yeah.
How many
Can't knock that.
BMWs do you own?
Right now, 10.
10?
Including the 2-wheeled ones.
Can you list them off? You ride motorcycles
Oh, yeah,
too?
sure.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, we'll have a 71 2002 TII Touring, which is pretty rare.
Yeah.
I have a...
That's the one you said that didn't come to the States.
No,
right?
that was not imported.
Damn.
I have what is that one? It's an 89 E30, just a regular E30
Okay.
coupe. I have a 88 520 or 88 M5 E28, which is when we made 1,500 of those. That's
Yeah,
a
that's a
one-year
nice
car.
one.
I have an 88 M6 to go with it to match it.
Because it's got to have a friend.
It's got to have a friend. What else is floating around? A 325 CI was my daily for years. I now have a 335. That's my daily now.
Wow. I have a friend of mine who wants to take the 30 and put a LS swap in it.
There's a kit for it.
Yeah. I think he wanted to. He said the only thing he was having a hard time was finding the harness, and he wanted to build one himself.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's.
Well, you can always do Mega Squirt or something like that.
What is that?
You could do Mega Squirt or any of the standalones.
I don't even know. I don't know much about the harnesses and stuff like that.
Well, Mega Squirt's a standalone ignition injection system.
Okay.
So it has its own computer. You can tune it with a laptop, and it's very adaptable to anything you want to do.
Huh. I didn't even know that. So seems like you're the guy to go to for BMW stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's just not just BMW. It's everything. A lot of people use that system.
Right. So as far as the shop goes, that's pretty much everything. How many bays you have? I don't know if you want to put the address out there so people can come see you.
Yeah, it's 1144 Northeast 48th Street in Pompano, 33064. Basically, we're right between 10th Street and Sample, just east of Dixie Highway.
And at that shop, I know you said you do regular.
We do regular maintenance. We do
and
hot rod stuff. We do whatever you want to do.
So if somebody wants to do an engine swap, you guys can definitely accommodate.
We're not so much in engine swaps, but other stuff like we'll do turbos, downloads, downpipes, charge pipes, that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
Right now we're also doing it's a CSL. It's not a Batmobile, but a first generation CSL. A friend of mine has a car collection with 15 cars. We just stripped the whole bottom of it down to bare metal, pulled the subframes, got all the subframes powder coated, new bushings, painting it back to factory with Alpina B2S motor and a dogleg 5-speed. So it's going to be pretty nice.
That's going to be great. Is he plan on showing it any specific
Yeah, he'll show
shows?
it. We've showed it before. A couple of years ago, Lauderdale Imports had the BMW puts out a worldwide competition to make a video every year. They only pick 4 dealers in the U.S.
Okay.
They picked Lauderdale, and the guy at Lauderdale called me. We took 10 of his cars and 3 of some other cars, put them all in the showroom.
Wow.
His CSL, my M5, he has a E21 Schnitzer Turbo, a new class Alpina race car.
Man.
Another coupe, a couple other things, and a couple of B6 Alpinas, an early and a late version. And we won the contest, the worldwide contest with it.
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
So that was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, well, I know you won a few things because when I looked up your name, you pop up everywhere. And you were the Flasher. I don't know what that really is.
That's the BMW Club magazine.
Okay.
Because back in the day when there weren't so many BMWs, if you saw another BMW, you'd flash your headlights.
Okay, yeah.
So you see another 2002 or whatever coming, you'd flash the headlights.
Yeah. I remember that was a thing for a long time with when I had a Subi and I lived out in Hawaii.
Yeah.
If you saw another Subi, usually it kind of waves. It's like a motorcycle wave.
Yeah, same thing.
It's like a respect thing.
Right.
You don't see that anymore because there's so cars nowadays are so popular.
If you did it with every BMW, you'd burn out the headlights in Boca.
How has the culture evolved around BMW? Because now it's luxury, it's posh, it's for the most part. How has that changed over the years?
Well, before it was, like I say, it was a small group. There weren't so many people, so there were more performance enthusiasts, more drivers, more people that modded their cars themselves. And like you said, now it's a luxury brand. You very rarely see anybody doing that. It is one of the few brands that still has a manual transmission, which is nice. But it's like I say, it's become more remote. But you still get people that are doing like we do, the 335s with the turbos, the M3s with the uprated motors, that kind of stuff.
Do you like
we're getting into the diesels too.
Oh yeah. Well, do you like where BMW has gone?
I think they're kind of losing their way, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
The M brand is diluted from what it was. It was a pure market. The first, now they stick M badges on everything.
Yeah.
They're making like a M series for each, like 3, 4, 5, 6.
Even the SUV or SAVs, to say the right thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, used to me there was 6 models. Now, if you look at a list of models, there's 22 different models. I hardly even seen some of them.
That's crazy. Yeah,
an X4M 4.0 S-Drive. What's that?
Just start throwing letters and numbers on the end of it. Yeah, that's a lot. I think if I could have one, I mean, I would probably go with the M3 just because that was the to me, that's like the staple of,
It is.
of BMW.
It's the first one. E30 M3s, of course, are worth stupid money now.
Yeah, the E30 actually wasn't my favorite. The one that came, the 30
E36 was after that.
The 36 is the one.
It was
I liked
actually a
the most.
better car.
That's the one I like the most. The M3, the E36 model, that was my favorite BMW of all time. Other than the 1938 328 that I saw. And I didn't even know that existed until I was doing my research for this podcast. And I was like, I'm like watching YouTube videos and I'm looking up online. I'm looking up articles and like the history of BMW. And I came across a picture of that one.
Well, that pre-war, that was the car to have.
Yeah.
If you were in motorsport and you wanted to win, you had to have that car. And the engine from that car lasted up into the 60s.
Wow.
That's
Because Bristol Motor Company in England got that engine from BMW after the war. And it was in actually the AC Ace and the AC Bristol, which became the Cobra.
right.
The original engine, the Cobra, was that BMW-derived engine.
Wow.
I didn't know that. Huh. Because I know BMW. I feel like everybody starts out taking stuff from other places. Like I know the first BMW was the Dixie.
The Dixie, it was built on license from Austin.
Right, and that came from
From
a whole
England,
another
yeah.
England, a whole another country. And then I feel like as money and greed kind of gets into it, I think people start to lose the pride and how that goes. Because I know like companies that were from England only used English cars, and then
Right.
now everybody's buying up everybody, and nobody really cares.
Well, that's because a
anymore.
lot of them are owned by different countries. You know,
Yeah.
you got Land Rovers owned by an Indian company, the Beamer, Jaguar.
Yeah.
They've all swapped hands so many different times.
Yeah.
It's for me, and I follow this. It's hard to keep track of who owns what.
It is.
Yeah, so
Well, they're in the 2000s when Ford and GM were buying up everything they could find.
Right.
I know
Right.
BMW almost lost to, I think Mercedes almost bought
Right.
them, and then they
And the Quant family came along and said, we're going to do this.
dug them out of a
Yeah.
hole. So I mean, that family definitely picked them up out of nothing.
Yep.
That was pretty impressive. So yeah, I guess that's about.
Let's get into some of the good stuff.
Let's get the
Okay.
racing going. Huh?
All right, let's do
Racing.
that.
So I was shocked to learn a few things, and I thought it was 40 years, but apparently this year will be the 50th year in a row Rennie has attended Sebring.
Yep.
And he, fan of endurance racing and things like that. So I know you've raced Sebring.
Oh, yeah, many times.
What's it like to race Sebring?
It's bumpy.
It's bumpy.
That's what everyone says, man.
Turn 1, turn 17, you got to be ready for the bumps.
Yeah, that'll rattle you.
Yeah, well, you just, you work them. You know where they are. You set the car up so when it hits the bump, it just moves over a little bit so it ends up where you want to be when you come out the other side.
I feel like it's kind of
Sebring's notorious for it, but
Oh, yeah.
does it still shock you when you go, like knowing that reputation, does it still throw drivers off?
I'm pretty sure it does, especially the new guys that they don't know what's going on. And the setups are real important, too. You get two
Yeah.
choices. You can set it up really soft to absorb the bumps or set it up stiff to go over top of them, one of the two. Just depends on the style
Right,
you like.
right.
And I guess it changes. Take your arm off the table. I guess it changes the. You're shaking the hell out of it. I guess it changes the tire wear and stuff like that. Too.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Sebring actually isn't too bad on tires because most of it's concrete and
Right.
asphalt, and you get a lot of time to cool down. The back straight cools the brakes down, cools the tires down.
Okay.
So it's
'Cause
not too terrible.
Because at the US Grand Prix this year,
Right.
or last year I should say, all the F1 drivers were complaining about the bumps, and
Yeah.
I was watching, and don't get me wrong, it was pretty brutal. But then I've watched Sebring, and I've watched those cars. I mean, those cars are probably a little more capable of handling
Right.
it than a Formula One
Right,
car,
right.
but
It's set up different.
yeah. But Sebring seems to be pretty brutal.
they'd say that Sebring at 12 hours harder than Daytona at 24 because the car gets shaken up so much.
Yeah.
And it's just such a tougher track to drive.
What were you racing back when you? What years were you racing?
I started when I was 18 in a Bug Eye Sprite.
Really?
Wow.
Jeez.
I raced a Bug Eye Sprite and then a Datsun Roadster.
Okay.
And then, what did we get after that? Then I think we pretty much got into the 2002 after that. We had a 2002 that we bought as a car. We built the motor and changed everything and raced that at Sebring in 83 for the first time.
Okay.
And we ran the whole 12 hours. We finished 11th overall. No, 30th overall and 11th in class. We're the highest finishing BMW. And that year they started 83 cars.
Oh. How many do they start now?
38.
yeah.
They started 38 at Daytona this year. That's
the
it.
smallest Daytona class, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's
But what
crazy.
amazes me about Sebring last year is they only lost 2 cars in the whole 12-hour.
Wow.
That's just phenomenal.
That's it.
That's it. And one of the cars they lost on the last lap.
So, it's
So
just,
the
it was
entire race,
green-
they basically lost 1 car.
and it was green flag the whole time, or
Yeah,
did
and
they-
raining.
No way.
Yeah.
Jesus, that's like unheard of. I can't imagine that because I've watched some I watched the highlights of endurance races because motorsports is still hard to watch here on television and things like that. And we're kind of we have a soft spot about that. We're a little pissed off about that. Wish you could still see it on TV. Actually, not too long ago, Rich over here was showing me drag racing, like actual like import 12-second time Honda's drag racing on ESPN2. Like they don't even care
Yeah.
anymore. Like so
Well, the SCCA runoffs used to be on every Thanksgiving.
right.
Now they're on a computer, and that's it. That's all you can get it.
It's frustrating to
stream
me.
it.
It's definitely
Well,
frustrating.
the problem is it's kind of boring to watch if you don't know what you're doing. So the mass market
It's
appeals
true.
a little low.
Yeah, nobody really cares to. Well, now I feel like also nowadays a lot of things is like, JG Wentworth. I want my money. I want it now.
Yeah.
Kind of like gimme, like fast. Everything is fast. Like it's hard to even. I know some of our podcasts go a little long, and some people are like, I'd rather it 20 minutes, and then like I get other people, I'd rather it an hour and a half.
Right.
So it kind of works back to the same thing with putting motorsports on TV, I guess. But
Yep.
I mean, I think it's still thrilling. And then who's the commentator that does IMSA now? The English guy,
can't
Scottish guy. I
remember.
can't remember his name.
Radio Le Mans.
Yeah.
Yeah. The English always get worked up.
Yeah.
They're always screaming about something.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, you got to get excited about it. And I think what pulled me back into racing was connecting to the people that are involved, whether it's the driver or the crew. It's those connections, those people that pull you in. That's one of the reasons I've struggled to get into endurance is because there's multiple drivers, there's a lot of crew changes, and I struggle to feel the connection and therefore the desire to watch long term.
Right. I understand what you're saying.
I just can't keep up with the teams.
Right.
Like I have a buddy of mine. If you want to look him up on Instagram, Rob Woodham. I think I've talked about him before on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
He does a lot of the photography for that, and he talks about the teams, and he'll tell you what the team name is and what kind of car they're driving and what I can't keep track. Like the teams seem like they're always changing, they're always evolving. Some of the
every
team
year.
names. When you were running,
Right.
it was a lot of shop cars, or was it all factory
back then,
cars?
Well, 83 cars, you're going to have a lot of people.
Right.
So, our car we built in the backyard basically of our shop. And I know friends of ours that built a Pinto. Another guy built a Renault. Another guy builds a Camaro.
Right.
And you could take it and race it because it wasn't that hard to do. But now every car is built in a factory.
What was the representation of the factories back then? How many cars were pure manufacturer built?
Not as many. Well, when we were in GTU, there were quite a few. You had Porsche, Mazda, Dodge, Pontiac. We were the only BMW. There was no factory team. It was just us. Like the best finish we had was at Palm Beach. We finished 6th overall,
Damn.
and we were the first privateer.
Hell yeah.
That's
So that
not
was
bad
pretty
at
good.
all.
Yeah,
At
we
Palm
actually got a
Beach.
check. That was awesome. Yeah, they used to do a Palm Beach Grand Prix at the fairgrounds.
Yeah, so I again, something else I learned because I went.
Rennie's teaching us a lot.
Yeah, Rennie's taught us a lot. and
I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, we're originally from Long Island, so when we moved down here is when we actually got our first kind of taste of racetrack.
Right.
Because on Long Island they've gone away with everything.
Well, Bridgehampton's gone,
Yeah.
so that was the only one you had.
Yep, and they've gone away with everything. There's a couple of people who just like down here were trying to get County Line Dragway back
Yep.
up.
Oh, yeah.
They're trying to get Grumman to open up a track where the old airport was and things
Right.
like that. And it's never going to happen because just the same reason why Formula One will probably never come to Miami. The people just don't want it there. But
And it doesn't make any sense because it's so much of a benefit for the community and this stuff. The arguments they have are lame.
yeah,
Yep.
It's too loud. Modern Formula One cars are not loud.
no.
I went to Barcelona this year to see the F1 race.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they're not loud. The Formula 4 cars are louder than they are.
Oh, 6-cylinder turbo. It's not.
Did
that
you
bad.
have a
Right.
choice of which race to go? Because Barcelona would not have been my choice.
Well, my brother and sister-in-law were going there anyway, so we kind of made a family trip out of it.
I hear
It was
you.
awesome. We had great seats.
No, that's awesome. That's a.
I wanna
boring
go-
race.
I wanna
If I'm
there.
going to pick, I'm going to pick Monaco.
Yeah,
But, you know,
I definitely want to go. I don't. It's the thing. Like, I wouldn't want to go to Monaco though. I'd probably. Damn. If
He
so,
doesn't like
your pick
Monaco.
was Monaco. I don't like Monaco personally. It's not one of my favorite races. It's a very technical race.
Oh, yeah.
and
I think
There's
that's
no
probably
passing.
why he likes it.
yeah,
Yeah.
racing-wise, it's whoever gets the pole is going to win.
right.
Right.
Unless your stuff
Right.
breaks down. Where would you want to go if you had one track to go to?
Oh, that's so tough. Right now, I'm torn between Mexico and Silverstone. Silverstone's got such the history behind it, the fans behind it. Mexico, because of what the track does, and they bring the culture into it, and they make it such an event. It's like the race isn't just the show; being there is the show.
Yeah, that's the way anywhere. And
Right.
there it was too.
I would if I could choose who's winning the race,
Yeah.
I would go to Monza and watch a Ferrari win at Monza.
Oh, that'd be crazy.
Yeah,
'Cause
well,
just
of
to
course.
see them people go nuts.
Home track.
Yeah. As far as tracks here in the States, what's your favorite one?
I really like Sebring. It's great. It's great.
Well,
to drive.
obviously.
and also
Biased.
Barber Motorsports Park
Okay.
is very cool.
Where's that?
It's in Alabama. It's in Birmingham.
Oh, okay.
It was built as a motorcycle track, and there's a motorcycle car museum there that's 3 stories tall that faces the track.
Okay.
And they have the largest collection of Lotuses outside the factory, and like 1,200 bikes on display all the time.
I think we have to go to Alabama, bro.
They do an IndyCar race there, which I don't know how they do that. The track doesn't look wide enough to me to do an IndyCar race there.
I think I watched that last year. It's
Yeah.
narrow.
I did a Lemons race there, and there's a lot of cars.
That's crazy. Have you ever been out to Rev's Institute of Automotive
Yeah,
Research?
I was there about 2 months ago.
Yeah, so I didn't know that place existed. Me and the wife took a 2-day trip out to
Yeah.
the West Coast, and she took me there as like a surprise.
Yeah.
And I literally walked around with my jaw on the floor the whole
They have
time.
a 328 there.
They do, they definitely do. Some impressive cars there. What So I really wanted to ask you, like, from somebody who's been around Sebring from, what was it, the 70s?
1970 was my first one.
So from 1970 to now, you've obviously seen a lot of change.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, I guess we could touch on each thing individually. I know you had a
Okay.
question about it, but my thing is the cars.
Right.
How much have the cars changed with like the prototypes that are in now that
Right.
are, some of them are ridiculously fast and the
Right.
technology in them is unreal. What was it like? What were they like back then versus
Oh, well,
how
back
they
then
are
it
now?
was the golden era, man. It was 917s, 512s, GT40s, all that stuff.
Right.
Actually running against each other.
Wow.
So that's like, I feel like those cars were still, yes, they were prototypes, but they were cars.
Oh, yeah. But they
Yeah.
were scary cars, too, because they didn't have anywhere near the technology or the computer design or the safety features that they have now.
Right.
I've talked to Brian Redmond about it, and he says the scariest thing he ever drove was a prototype 917.
Really?
He said it had no aero, and they're going 225 miles an hour down the Mulsanne Straight.
Yeah.
And the thing's just kind of going where it wants to go.
That's so crazy.
And I said, why did you keep doing that? I said, let me guess. I said, because if you didn't get in and drive that car, the next guy sitting next to you
Right.
was going to get in and drive that car and get your drive. He said, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So we had to drive to make the money, and we just had to drive whatever was there.
Wow.
I
That's scary.
yeah, but I what's funny is because I've watched some of like the old races and stuff like that, and don't get me wrong, the crashes are horrible.
Oh,
but
yeah.
some of the racing, the craftsmanship, the racecraft.
Oh, it's awesome.
I feel like they were better drivers. You had to be.
Right.
You had to have more control of the car. The throttle, how much pressure you were putting on the throttle, your turning, like how you did that. It's not like you just threw a car into a turn and it's stuck.
No, and the strategy, too.
Right.
You're behind that guy. Okay, what's he doing? Because I know a friend of mine I was racing one time, and I said, every time I get behind this guy, he goes off. I'm not even going to try and pass him. I'm just going to sit here in his mirror and wait for him to do something stupid. Then about a lap later, he's off the track.
Really?
Yeah.
It's that you could set somebody
Oh,
up
yeah,
that much.
Absolutely.
How easy is it to get into somebody's head when you're racing endurance racing?
Depends on who it is.
Yeah.
The good guys you can't. The rookie guys are the guys that are pretty easy to do, like that guy. And he'd been doing it for a while. It's just that was his flaw. That was what he did.
He just got he's like Vettel.
Yeah.
You get in the mirror and he
a little
goes
nervous.
he
A
goes
little
through the
nervous.
chicane.
He's not
at
used to
the-
seeing anybody behind him.
Yeah, at Canada, he goes through the chicane and he tries to run Hamilton into a wall. But
What's your feeling? You were saying before that it's Sebring and endurance racing is dominated by the factory teams. So what's your feeling on that? What's the effect that it has had on racing?
It's a double-edged sword. It's good and bad. You need the money. You need the factory content for people to put money into racing. But it ebbs and flows. Every time, as soon as the economy goes down, the first thing that gets chopped is the advertising budget, and all the money for racing comes from the advertising budget. So right now everything's going good. There's a lot of factory teams that are pumping money into
Economy's booming.
Right. But the cars now are obviously faster than they've ever been. The one shame about it is that Audi isn't doing it anymore.
yeah, I don't understand that.
Well, it's because of Dieselgate. They had to spend so much money to defend Dieselgate and do with those cars. They had to chop the money, and that's where it went. Racing always gets chopped first.
They shifted to Formula E, but now they've fallen to the back I'd say mid back. They win a race here and there, but Audi was dominating.
I don't know what
it a couple years
Dieselgate
ago.
was. Why am I not?
When they found the cheating scandal with all the Audi and Volkswagen diesels,
Really?
they found they had
Yeah.
they were making great power, they were making great mileage, doing all this stuff, and coating those clean diesels. And then I think it was University of Virginia was testing one, and they went outside the norm of the EPA test loop, and it was failing everything.
Wow.
So then they found that in each computer in the car, it knew when it was in the EPA test loop, and it would go to a certain program and run clean and do what it was supposed to do.
Holy shit.
I know.
And this is for like
Volkswagen
3.9
took
million cars or
Yeah,
something.
Volkswagen
Holy
took a
shit.
huge hit for that.
Oh, yeah.
Huge. Lots of fines, reputation in
That
the
was a
gutter.
big deal.
Yeah. it
When was
huge.
this?
10,
It was
10 years ago?
Not even that, maybe 5.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
That's so crazy.
And then the Germans are like, well, yeah, we cheated, but it took you 3.9 million cars to figure it out. So
Yeah, well, that's
the Germans are
crazy.
going
I
to do
never
it. They're
thought
going to do
about
it
that.
smart.
I didn't know that.
I heard you make a comment earlier about NASCAR.
right.
Didn't seem so favorable. Most Americans that are into racing in cars,
Right.
it's either NASCAR. If it's not NASCAR, it's IndyCar. Very few in endurance racing.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
How'd you get there?
I just was always more interested in it. It just was more road racing, European racing. Just talked to me more. I just thought it was more interesting to watch.
So what's
then
your
then I
opinion
could
on
actually
NASCAR?
do some of it. It was even better.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
have an opinion on NASCAR?
They're trying. It's a show. Don't get it wrong. It's not a race. It's a show. They have to make sure that everybody's a little bit equal. So at the end, that's how every year Homestead's where they determine the champion, because it's so even. But they are making big changes. Next year, the cars are going to be totally different. Mm-hmm. It's going to be it's not going to be a body in white that's metal anymore. It's going to be a composite body on a bespoke frame, 6-speed transaxle in the back, 18-inch wheels, disc brakes all the way around.
Really?
Yeah, it's going to be
That's a
way
lot of
closer.
High tech.
Sequential gearbox. It's going to be way closer to a real race car.
So
It's going to be, like you said, very similar to the Australian Super V8 supercars.
You still
Right.
watch NASCAR though?
Yeah, I still watch it. Just because
You like the stages?
they're okay.
I can't stand the stages.
I mean, it's
Drive me
it's like, why are you stopping in the middle of the race? But I understand why they have to do it. They have to get the attention span down.
Yeah,
They have to
little-
give
little
somebody
clips,
something to look
yeah.
at every once in a while.
yeah, I feel
I
like I
get
don't know
that.
why, but I feel like the NASCAR cars and then the like you look at NASCAR's making big changes. IndyCar is making big changes
Yeah.
with the aero, with the
Well, IndyCar's exciting to watch. IndyCar's good
IndyCar
racing.
is impressive.
I love
Yeah.
that IndyCar lets them race.
I
Hit
know.
them, no problem.
Yeah.
That's racing.
Yeah, IndyCar, NASCAR's making changes. Formula E just launched a picture of what their next gen car might look like.
Yeah.
2021 for Formula One, they're making all those regulation changes. I don't see a lot of changes like that in endurance racing. Is it because they don't have to? Like
Well,
IMSA,
they come more gradually, I believe. It's an evolution more than a revolution.
'Cause I feel like that's because endurance racing kind of has it right. I also feel like it's also because there's a lot more strain on the car. There's a lot more things that can go wrong just in the engineering side.
Right.
Where it's not like they just have to perform for 2 hours and they're good to go.
Right.
When you start racing 6, 12, 24-hour races, I feel like there's a lot more things that go wrong. So you don't really have to change much.
No. Well, the underneath is where the changes go, but aerodynamics in the body are totally different than they used to be. They all have the shark fin now.
Yeah.
Right.
They're all pretty similar.
Yeah, the prototypes. I'm not gonna lie. They mainly most have the same kind of look. The front end
They
is
do.
changed a
They're
little
hard
bit,
to tell
but-
the difference.
Yeah, that's one of the only reasons why I get frustrated of watching it on television is because I don't think the numbers are big enough. Like
Right.
they have those electric panels, which I think are great.
Yeah.
That one thing I love about that is the electric panels, and then you could see the car
Right.
number, and it changes. It also changes based on what position
What
they're in.
Right, you get the
Our
yellow,
IndyCar does
it's
that
a
too.
green, red, and blue lights, which is phenomenal when you're there at the track
different
watching.
classes.
Right. And
Because
I,
you can tell who's doing what.
I just wish they would make those panels like the whole door.
Yeah.
Which I know it's probably a lot of weight, but that would be really cool to make it like the whole door. So you could, like, if you were watching on television or a small TV or on your phone,
Yeah.
then you could actually see, like, all right, I know what kind
Well,
of
the
car
paint
it is.
schemes are different enough. You can figure it out, but
Yeah. Well, and most of the
which
most of
one
them
it
are factory.
is, yeah.
Most like once
That's
you
true.
get into like the Lexus, BMW, they're all factory teams. So you
Right.
like as long as you know kind of. If you've been watching the race more than 20 minutes, you kind of know who's in what position.
Right.
You got those English announcers screaming at you. But speaking about BMWs, is the Rolex 24 was a BMW.
Oh
win.
yeah, it was awesome.
BMW, Tandy will hang on to the lead of class. Well, there's a bit of cat and mouse going on here as Tandy slides really wide. The battle for the win, really, when you think about Tandy's fuel strategy, he's not in really the mix for the win here today. It's more about the 912, so maybe he's trying to back that number 24 BMW up to his teammate, who's about 7 seconds back, but that has not worked out. Kroner's on the march right now in that BMW. He's got the pace to take the lead.
That's their second one in a row?
Yeah, they won last year in the rain pretty much because they were in the pits at the right time and got the right flags. That was kind of a luck deal.
Hey,
But
man.
this year, weather was perfect.
Did you go?
Oh yeah, I was there. Yeah, the weather was perfect, and they ran down the Porsches and passed them fair and square on the track. So,
That was a great overtake.
oh yeah,
Towards that end, that was a great overtake.
yeah. And Bill Arbelin, who's not on the main team anymore, is a friend of mine. We used to crew for him back in the day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
He's
That's-
running with Will Turner now. He's another friend of ours.
I feel like it's a small world.
It is.
Like you're always running into bumping elbows with people that you know. I'm the kind of I guess I'm a young man. I'm 33, so I'm a little older
Yeah.
than some, but I'm a little younger than most. Like in the racing community, and I feel like the heyday, in my personal opinion, for racing was like 70s, 80s, and that's kind of right where in the sweet spot of when you
Right.
were racing. So speaking to like a younger crowd or for the younger people that might be listening, what do we have to get excited about? Is there something that we're
Yeah,
overlooking?
there's plenty of opportunities out there.
Yeah.
Like I said, SCCA does a thing called Track Night in America once a month at PBIR, and it's all over the country. It's a nationwide thing. You can take your street car there, or you can rent a car and take one if you want to don't take your street car. You get instruction. You get, I think it's an hour and a half at track time, and it's $125.
Well, that's not bad at all.
Yeah.
So you can learn how to
That's
do
nice.
that. And then another offshoot of that program is called time trials. So you learn how to race, you figure out what you're doing, and then you go for lap times on time trials. So there's something to shoot for. And then you can go into, if you have the wherewithal, to do regular road racing from there.
So it kind of like it gradually gets you to a point where you kind of have some
Right.
some training under your belt, and
Exactly.
experience. Is that the track night in America? Is that part of autocross or is that
No, that's another thing. Autocross is what's called Solo 2. That's Solo 1. Autocross is generally done in a big parking lot with cones.
okay?
And it's a nerd sport. It really is. Because you have to be on it right when you get out of the gate. You don't get 2 or 3 laps to figure it out and, I'm going to do this corner different next time. You
Oh,
got to
really?
be bang on right out of the gate.
You get a map of what the track looks like, and then you kinda
No,
like-
you can walk it, though.
okay.
You
So
get there early, you walk the track, see where it's going. And it's different every time. They have different layouts.
so you can kind of see how you want to set one corner
Right.
up into another.
Exactly.
One.
And
Would
it's
you
all timed. And it's in one car at a time.
would you feel like that's the way people should start?
It's a great way. It's a great way to enter. And some people, that's what they do. I mean, there's people that are national champions, and all they do is autocross. They don't do anything else.
Really? I
The,
didn't know it was-
in
I didn't know it was
Topeka's, the
that big.
national championships, they get 1,200 entries.
I didn't know it was that big. I really didn't. Because in my mind, I'm somebody who hasn't tried to really race on that level. I sit here and I'm like, you know what? If you don't have money, you can't become a race car driver. In my mind,
Right?
Because like you look at like Formula One drivers, and a lot of the reason why they get the drive is because they have a financial backing.
Yeah,
that
that's
comes with
a
them.
whole nother thing.
Yeah, and I feel like endurance racing has it too, and IndyCar probably has it.
It does
and stuff
now.
like that.
Well, there's Chump Car and there's AER and there's 24 Hours of Lemons too.
Do you think that there's easy? Do you think that it's not easy? It's never easy. But do you think that there is a possibility if somebody really wants to be a driver, a race
Right.
car driver? Do you think that there's a possibility? What would be the path that they should take?
Well, you got to start when you're like 5 these days.
Lying.
Yeah, and then it starts in carts. Everybody starts in carts.
Is
That's
that
it.
big here though?
Yeah, in Miami it is. At Homestead, there's a track that's pretty big.
They just had a race in the parking lot at the Isle Casino a couple weekends ago. Yeah, I was at work the other day, and a gentleman comes in, and he's from Canada. He runs a magazine in Canada.
Right.
For the life of me, I can't remember what it is. I wish I can give him a plug right now, but I can't remember. And he said that he flew down specifically to cover this go-karting event.
Right.
And they raced. He came back actually the next day to show me some photos, and they were like in the rain and stuff like that. And,
Yeah.
But yeah, they did it in the parking lot of the Isle Casino.
Right. Well, Montoya, Castro Neves, Fittipaldi, and probably more that I don't know if all those guys live in Miami. Everybody's got a house
Yeah.
in Miami.
Yeah,
And there's a track down there that they all go to. I know people have raced with all of them.
that's pretty cool.
And then their kids get into it. I just saw a thing where Emmo's kids just starting to race karts now.
Yeah, I did hear about that. And
Yeah.
I think Juan Pablo Montoya just won a sim race down in Miami too.
Yeah.
Oh,
beat
he's
a
sim
few
racing
kids.
now?
I
He's
think
phenomenal.
it
That
was
guy can
for
drive anything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's
You know
really
what's funny
good.
is like I was never when he came. He made the switch from. Did he go from IndyCar to NASCAR?
Yeah.
When
He went IndyCar
IndyCar,
to,
NASCAR, and then
to
went back
Formula
to-
One, went to NASCAR. He did all three.
I was
Yeah.
just I don't know why I was never I think it's because I was a Tony Stewart fan when he was in NASCAR,
Yeah.
when Juan Pablo was in NASCAR, and I was just never a Montoya fan when he
I
came to
remember you
NASCAR.
laughing every single time Juan Pablo made a mistake.
Dude, he drove into the back of a jet truck.
Yeah. That was
He's
pretty
the
cool.
Roman Grosjean of NASCAR.
Yeah, well, yeah.
He's literally the Roman Grosjean of NASCAR, man.
How has the Florida scene changed over the years?
Unfortunately, it's gotten smaller because we're losing tracks because of development. There was a half-mile banked oval stock car track at Paraguay Fairgrounds. There was
Really?
yeah. The grandstands are still there.
Where is this?
At Palm Beach Fairgrounds. There was a half-mile banked oval there.
I never knew that.
We
Huh.
ran for years there. We had a 2002 we used to run.
Wow.
Okay.
And then there was a 5/8 mile track in Hialeah forever. The Allison brothers started racing there before they moved to Alabama.
Wow.
Crazy.
And
That's
then there
got
was
some history.
Yeah.
a road course and a drag strip in West Hollywood, where there's a housing development now. It was 9 miles west of the Turnpike was Hollywood Dragway.
That's so crazy to think like how many tracks have come and gone in this state.
Oh, yeah. And then people talk about there was Lakeland, there was a bunch of other tracks, Masters Field in Miami that were around way before me.
Damn. I think we got to go explore and look.
Why
for some of
has
these
it
old
fluctuated so much?
Because of the development. The land got to be worth more than the track,
That makes sense.
especially
All the
Hialeah.
people coming.
Tracks. Yeah, the population.
Hialeah
goes
is a
up.
Home Depot now.
Think about it. It's the
crazy.
same like Interlagos in Brazil, the F1 track there. Like it was a swamp, no houses, and then so many people. Population boom, and now their people are living right up around the track. So
Probably complaining about the noise.
yeah, well, they love F1 so much.
Yeah, I
But-
think Senna cemented
in-
that for
yeah.
Brazil.
I think in Florida though, you get something like that, and they just rip the track out.
That's what they do. It's exactly what they do.
Do you think that if we ever got like a hometown hero, because like right now we don't have any American racers in Formula One.
No.
Are there any in IndyCar?
Yeah,
There's a
there's
few.
quite a few like
think Scott
Alexander
Speed is from there,
Rossi.
Yeah, but he's done. He's done.
He's finished, right?
Actually, he's doing Formula E now.
Yes, Scott
That's
Speed.
speed.
Yeah,
He's doing Formula E.
For
So I mean,
Andretti.
like what would
Did
it
you go to
be-
the Formula E
In and
race
out
we
of
had
Formula
here?
E.
I didn't.
I think Speed was in it for a little bit,
Yeah.
but I think he's out now. I think he lost his drive in Formula E.
I don't know, man. I think Formula E
fluctuates
actually Brett had
drivers
a
a
really
lot.
good idea.
Yeah.
So when they came up with the Formula One track down here in Miami,
Yeah.
what he said was they should bring Formula E first.
Right.
Because if their biggest
Right.
concern is building a racetrack and their biggest concern is the noise,
and
then
yeah.
they can bring Formula E. They could race that on anywhere.
Yeah. Well, they
and-
did it. It was downtown. It was down right at the old pack
Yep.
around Biscayne.
Yeah.
But now they got the newer cars. So that was with
Yeah.
the Gen 1 cars. So my argument was, both Formula E and Formula 1 are run by the FIA, right? So
Right.
the same organization. If the FIA was smart, what I think they do, because we live here, we know how Miami is, right? Miami's not just going to pass it because
Your hand off the table.
anything. And they're not just going to...
It's like my mother.
Miami's not just going to pass it. So if the FIA was smart, comes down here, shows with a quieter, more futuristic, you can argue that, race, what it could do for the community, what it
was
could bring
awesome.
in.
It was well
Yeah.
attended. There were
Oh, yeah.
thousands of people there.
And
I feel
then,
it was-
and
Miami
then
was
say,
phenomenal.
listen,
Miami could be like a Monaco. to
and
be
then
honest
say
with you.
Right.
Formula
They do it
One
right.
can bring even more.
Yeah. Well, the problem with it was the FIA and their own stepping on their own is they
Always.
yeah. It was going to take them 4 weeks to set it up and 2 weeks to tear it down.
Yeah,
Nobody
too
that
much
lives
time.
there wanted to put up with that for 6 weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
The businesses had to close. The people couldn't get to their houses, and they just weren't going to do it.
Like if they did it like something in Monaco where like they
Yeah.
put it up and like they break it down in like I think it's 4 days.
Oh,
5
Monaco's
days.
a champ at it, man.
But
Yeah.
they've been doing it forever, and it's a way smaller
And the
area.
people have so much more pride in it,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
the
but I
people
mean,
have
China
immense
just threw up a
pride.
hospital in 48 hours.
Yeah.
We can't build a track in two.
Well,
days?
the one by the stadium, I think, will work
Yeah,
if they can get the NIMBYs out of it.
I think.
Well, they just altered the track again to get it off public streets
Right.
completely.
Yeah, it's now completely contained in stadium property.
that'd be perfect.
And now we can't start anything before 3:00 because school's in. It'll be too loud. The nearest school's like 3 miles away.
I don't know how far they think this is gonna. The noise is actually gonna carry.
It doesn't.
I don't think they understand how much it would do for the community. I know that my brother and I would be there in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah,
I
You know
did
what I mean?
research
I'd be
that
there.
they have to have.
I'd be working it.
I think it's something like 46,000 hotel rooms.
Well, we'd have to piggyback on you to get work in it.
Oh yeah,
but
I got my
46,000.
ways.
I'm sure. Yeah, it's like 46,000 hotel rooms they need for a Formula One
Yeah,
weekend.
well, how many did they have for the Super Bowl last weekend?
I'm telling you, like think
It's
about the
there.
money.
The infrastructure exists, and it was in the same place.
Right.
So you can't say that you can't get there, you can't get out, and there's no hotel rooms. They just did a Super Bowl there. What do you want?
Local shops would come up because people would be local shopping, stuff like that.
yeah.
Because when the race isn't going on, where do you think those people are going to be? They're not going to sit in
Absolutely.
their hotel room and do nothing.
And that's a 3-day event. That's not a 1-day event.
Yeah.
Right.
You got practice and then Saturday and Sunday.
Yep.
And
Liberty,
support races
Liberty,
and
the
everything
owners
else.
of Formula One want another race in the United States so bad, and it makes so much sense to have it in Florida.
Absolutely.
It really does, and it means that they could come twice. So, like last year, the schedule was I can't remember the 2020 schedule, but I know the 2019 schedule. They did Canada, then they went back to Europe, and then they came again later in the year to Austin, Mexico, and down to Brazil. So if they did a similar schedule to that, where in the beginning of the year or middle of the year, they do Canada, Florida, back to Europe, and then come again through Austin and hit United States twice, that's huge.
Yeah, that'd be pretty
And it
good.
depends on when they do it, too. You don't want to do that in like August or September.
Right. No, they got to do it
Yeah,
the
if
right
they do
time.
Florida, they got to do
It's
it
got to
early
be
in the
like
year.
now, this time
That's what I'm
of
saying.
year.
If they come earlier in the year,
Yeah.
like
When
let's
do
say
they
they
do
come
Canada?
around March,
April?
I think it was
Yeah, that's
April
way better
or
up there.
June. I
Yeah.
think they did Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's when they should do Florida, because then it also adds in a different dynamic, right? You have a lot of humidity down here, so the air
Yeah.
into the engine is a lot different.
Right.
You know, you have it's there's more heat down here, so I think I don't want to say Formula One got boring. Like I can't wait till 2021 for the regulation changes, but my thing is like, if you add more dynamic to the tracks, right? So something
Right.
like where you go from a humid track and then you go to a clear air track or something like that, the teams have to adjust for that.
Oh, sure.
If you saw Mercedes, anytime they got high elevation,
Right.
they slowed down. I feel like you can't make a car that's good in all scenarios. You're gonna have your strengths, you're gonna have your weaknesses, and if you're doing that, you're playing to the field.
Well, and the thing is, you can't test in all sequences.
Right.
The testing is so restricted, you can't do it.
Right.
They have enough money; they would go to every place in every season and make an aero package for that, but they can't.
What different tracks? So speaking of different climates, what different tracks have you raced?
Or
here
been
a part of?
Here, like I said, Barber, Laguna, raced in New Hampshire at the outfield road course there, which is a weird setup. Texas.
Why do you say that?
Well, in most road race and ovals, the infield is where the track is.
Right.
New Hampshire, you go up to the middle of the exit of 4, down the front straight through 1 and 2, and then you do a 180-degree turn up out of the track into a little bowl, and then some stuff in the back, and then come back in the track.
What?
It's really weird.
That sounds like a fun track.
I couldn't figure it out. I had to get one of my buddies, like, let's go try this out. You show me where this goes. Because I had a car with 2 seats in it, so it was pretty easy. But
what was Laguna like?
Laguna's awesome. It's very cool. I'm driving around looking for the corkscrew. I'm like, oh, crap, there it is.
Is it that big of a drop-off?
It's that big of a drop-off.
What were you driving?
And it's fast. A new Mini and an old Mini.
So yeah,
both of them.
Crazy.
The handling had to be ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
You saw the video. There's a Lamborghini that blows through that corkscrew and goes.
Oh, yeah.
Like I think it was a female driver, and I think her brakes failed, and she goes blowing right through the corkscrew and nose first right into the tire
my goodness,
barrier.
that's got to be so scary.
At like full speed.
Well, that's where Zanardi made the Miracle Pass.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
Yeah,
been a lot
that
of
was
passes
beautiful.
over there. You had Zanardi, Valentino Rossi made a pass on. Oh, he drove for Ducati. Oh my God!
Blanking.
Oh, I can't remember. Oh man, that's rough. Look up Alexander Rossi making a pass on. He used to race for Ducati.
Yeah.
I know it was a.
Did
red
he go
bike.
out in the dirt, or did
He went on the dirt. He went 100% on the dirt, like both wheels on the dirt. Drove through.
And it's like there's like little bushes like this big and rocks and stuff all over there.
Yeah, it's like when you see it on TV, it doesn't look that daunting.
No.
But there's a lot of stuff like when you like Spa. When
Right.
you look at Formula One.
Stoner?
Yeah, that's it. The Stoner Pass.
How do we forget that?
I don't. Yeah. But like you look at Spa on TV and you're like, that hill's not that bad. And like from what I hear, and I've seen pictures where they're standing on the coming out of the first turn, and they're standing looking up the hill. And I mean, that hill looks ridiculous. And you can, that's where Antoine Hubert, like, that's that whole thing where he comes up the hill and you can't see over the top. So you're coming full speed. You don't know what's up there. Yeah. So I feel like Laguna Seca is definitely one of those. But I feel like there's certain tracks that you have to see firsthand. Like I think as this channel grows, as the show grows, that we're going to start trying to go to like, the 24-hour
because you can't tell elevation on TV.
Right.
It just doesn't do it. Like Lime Rock, for instance, it doesn't look like such a big deal.
No.
But it's like an elevator ride.
Is it?
It's like a fast elevator ride up and down.
Wow.
That's when I watched when we were talking about Bathurst before.
Yeah.
And I'm watching it on TV and I'm like, it doesn't look that bad. When I sim raced it, I screwed up that downhill section coming out of the mountains every time. And then the I think one of the more deceiving ones, not only that, is that long straight, and then you get the S curve, and then it goes back down the long straight, and then you get the final turn to come down the front to the finish line. That S curve is off camber.
Yeah.
So when you don't hit it and get the grip of the turn, you hit it and it like pops you up and pushes you over.
Right.
And I just things like that. Like I know Sebring is pretty much flat.
Yeah, it's flat.
What's the biggest challenge
Florida's
other than
flat.
the bumps? Is there any other huge challenges, or it's just concentrating for 12 hours?
Yeah, it's a lot of any race is concentration.
Right.
That's why people think, they're just sitting down for 12 hours. Well, you're not, because you're going 100 and something miles an hour with another guy next to you trying to go 100 and something miles an hour.
Right.
You got to see where he's going to go, not letting him go there, and racing yourself.
How much planning goes into like pit stops and engineering and stuff like that?
A huge amount.
I feel like
it's where you make up time.
Yeah.
If the car's sitting still, you're not going anywhere. So
I
you
feel
gotta
like
get in and out as quick as possible.
I feel like they plan it out, and then all of a sudden, like the race starts, and that whole plan, I feel, for most people, is just like, scrap that whole shit. Because like one thing could happen. Well, you get one yellow flag, and your whole race is like shot.
Your race strategy is a whole science unto itself.
Yeah.
Because you look at past races, and you say, okay, what happened the last 5 years? Well, there was a yellow about here, and there was a yellow about there. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to put, you start your fast guy.
Right.
He sets the position for you. Then you put your next guy in, and you just wait. And if you get a yellow, then you come and pit. Like when we were doing Moroso, we had a worker radio in the car, so we knew when the yellows were coming.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, all right,
That's tricky.
They had to do a break for dinner.
Yeah.
So, we're going to do the break in 2 laps. Okay. 2 laps, wheel right in, get tires, brake pads, whatever, gas, whatever, and go.
That's crazy. I don't know. I mean,
and you have to have different plans too.
Yeah.
Like you said, okay, well, these yellows didn't happen, so what are we going to do? Like BMW got screwed up this year, the Turner team, because they normally they change the brakes about when they're in about 11 or 12 hours.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, there were no yellows, so they went 16 hours on a set of brakes.
Jesus.
And then had to change them under green. It cost them a lap and a half.
Oh, damn.
And they killed them.
Wow. How much thought is who gets the drive first, who goes second, who goes third?
It depends on what level you're at. If it's an amateur level, it's the guy with the most money goes first because you want him to be able to get his ride.
That makes sense.
If he's renting the car.
And then they have like, what is your perspective on the gentleman driver?
I think they're necessary.
Yeah.
Some of them are better than others. GTD is all about the gentleman driver in IMSA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have to have a gentleman driver, and then I think it's
part of the rules.
Yeah, a bronze driver, and you can't have any gold drivers, which kind of got a lot of guys out that they couldn't get rides because of that.
Which that's kind of frustrating, I
Yeah.
can assume.
And
At that
you
point,
made it to the
interesting.
top level. Well, I don't
Right.
want to be at the top level. I can't get this ride.
Start crashing
Kind of
cars here and
sucks.
there.
Well, it's another FIA thing, but
Maybe they have a plan for them.
but the gentleman drivers.
Sounds like you don't like the
they put
FIA
field
too
out.
much,
Yeah,
Rennie.
well, when we did the Formula E Grand Prix, for instance, right?
Yeah.
They paid us $250 a day to work the corners, and they had to have 6 people on every corner, which is insane.
Why
Because
so
we
many?
don't respond. You just call up on the radio and say, "Hey, this guy's over here."
It's not like you're jumping over the
No, exactly.
wall.
So they gave us a hotel room and bussed us to the track pre-dawn at like 6 o'clock in the morning. They
That's
didn't
fun.
turn a wheel until 11
Aye.
because the track wasn't done.
Sounds like the Army.
Yeah, so they put people out. They put people out on corners at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then don't turn a wheel until 11. And then they're like, "Oh, we don't have time for lunch." We're like, "Shit, these people have been on the corner for 6 hours."
Yeah.
So we ran around and gave out lunches in 11 minutes.
Wow.
Threw them all in the back of a pickup truck and just drove by handing them out. But that's the kind of stuff that they do.
That's so weird. The Army was the same way. When anytime we went to the range
Hurry
never
up
went
and do
hot.
nothing?
The range never went hot till like 10, 9, 10.
Yeah.
And that was early. Like sometimes it wouldn't go hot till 11. And we'd be at the company at like 05. Like, what are we here for?
Yeah.
Like, just standing around. So everything would get loaded up. Everybody's sitting there, and we're all sitting in the trucks like a bunch of idiots. Like,
And it's not like they never did it before.
right.
Yeah, right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the Army's been
This
around
they never
for
did
how long?
before, so you get a little window, but
this.
that they never did before.
What's your opinion on what he said before? What's your opinion on the BMW and the Supra? Do you think Toyota should have came out with their own engine?
I'm kind of surprised they didn't, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Because Toyota builds good motors. They always have. And I don't know what the whole collaboration thing was about. I'm glad there's a BMW in there and we can do something with it. But I'm very surprised that Toyota didn't do that themselves.
What's your opinion of that engine that's in there? Because I know BMW was, when they first came out, they were a 4-cylinder. Then they went up
Yeah.
to a 6-cylinder. Then they went into an 8-cylinder. Personally, other than the 38 328 that I saw,
Right.
the M1, the original M1, is gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
So I wouldn't mind getting my hands on that. But they've messed around with so many different engines. Is there one that should have been in the Supra that isn't? Or
No, I think they made the right choice.
think they made the right
That's
choice?
what's called the B58 TU.
Okay.
It's an evolution of the N55, which was the twin turbo that came in the 335. Then it went to the N55 single turbo, which was an evolution of that. That engine is actually based on the same block as the diesel.
Huh.
So you can put stupid boost in it.
The one
So
that's
they're
in the
going to be
Supra.
making, the ones in the Supra.
So where
So
you think?
they'll make north of 1,000 out of that.
Wow.
Really?
Oh yeah, when they get it figured out, they will.
Yeah, because I know I feel like the race to build the fastest Supra
Yeah.
began like right when they first got it. You started like
Oh, absolutely.
a few big major motorsport. I know Real Streets got their hands on one. A couple of the big names got it. Who else has got one? Papa Doc has got
Pull the
one.
motor out as soon as you got the car. 0 miles, you get the motor out. 1,000 horsepower build.
Yep.
That's so crazy.
Now, whether it'll ever be the same as Jay-Z, 2JZ, I don't know, but
Yeah, because what do they pump? What's the most horsepower they're getting out of a 2JZ now? 1,700? More than that? It's up there. I know.
I was at my buddy's shop over here, Olympic Motorsports. They're making 12 out of a car that's street driven.
Yeah, I mean,
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Well, we've got an M5 running around 1150, twin turbo M5.
Really?
That's a V8 too. So
yeah, that's the 8-cylinder.
yeah, but it's full build. It's got sleeved. It's got everything.
Would you ever have imagined when you started what it would be now?
No, never in a million years would I believe you could walk into a dealership and drive out in a 700 horsepower car. It's just nuts. You know, they used to say, "Oh, the super or muscle cars, that was the best." Those cars sucked if you ever drove one. I mean, yeah, they go like hell in a straight line, but don't try and turn it or stop it. But now you can get a 700 horsepower car that handles, stops,
Rich
brakes.
is cracking up
has-
off screen.
Has TV and TV, stereo, air conditioning, leather seats.
I watched them do a resto mod of a, I think it was a Challenger,
Yeah.
or something like that, and they put a Hellcat engine in it.
Oh
And
yeah.
I mean,
there's guys making kits for it now.
it was gorgeous. It was
Yeah.
beautiful. And from what I understand, they had a gentleman there from the auctions, and they were appraising them at like $200,000 for a resto mod.
Yeah. Well,
That's a lot.
subjective, I think, but
Yeah.
we had it. We had a 70 Charger brand new, the 383,
Damn.
plum crazy with a white vinyl top. I used to beat the crap out of that car. Holy shit.
It's brutal.
Oh, it was awful.
Did you ever go drag racing, or are you stuck? Just,
I've been drag racing a couple times.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's fun. You know, you start and then now what do I do?
Hell yeah.
I love people. I love it. The
But
smack
it's like
talk
you
is
spend
great.
all that time and all that money, and the better you get at it, the less time you get to do it.
That's so true.
Like they made
So
a comparison one time between Michael Schumacher and Tony Schumacher and how many hours they spent on the track.
Right.
And Michael Schumacher was like 50 or 80 hours, and Tony Schumacher was like 3 minutes.
That's funny. What
So funny.
if I know some of my friends, people that I know listen to the show here and there. I hope listen to the show. They tell me they listen to the show. If they're lying to me, a bunch of rat bastards. But I know a lot of them drag race their Beamers. If I was to go pick up a Beamer, and a lot of them run the one. Because
Yeah,
it's
'cause it's a
small and
smaller body,
you can
sure.
pack a ton of power into it.
Yeah, it's the same engine as everybody else.
If I was going to run a drag car, well, it's a short wheelbase, so a lot of
Right.
the times that doesn't really help you in drag racing, especially from digs. From rolls, it probably doesn't really make much of a difference. But what is if I was Joe Schmo off the street and I came into your shop and I was like, "Yo, I want to build a fast drag car,
Okay.
BMW." What would the package look like?
Well, first thing you do is a charge pipe, because the factory charge pipe is plastic, and you're going to pop it.
Okay,
Next thing you do is a catless downpipe. Get rid of the cat. Next thing you do is a tune, and you can do MHD, you can do Boot Mod 3, you can do any number of canned tunes, or get a Pro Tune,
okay,
a bigger intercooler, and then you can do meth injection on top of that. We have a Z4 that's making 478 at the wheel. A streetcar guy just drives it around.
that's pretty good.
But not only you have to do
Damn.
the engine, you have to think about the other stuff too. Because, like I said, that 1100 horsepower M5, we had to put a carbon clutch and a carbon drive shaft in it. Because the more
of how
power
much
you make,
power.
it just starts breaking
Right.
stuff
Right
down the line.
it was just twisting and cracking stuff
And
off.
the more stick you get in the back, now you're going to start bending trailing arms. You're going to start doing that kind of stuff.
So, guys, I guess the life of a race car driver kind of goes downhill the faster, more
That's
more
it.
power you put
You
out
just start
there.
breaking stuff and fixing stuff.
Any plans on racing a shop car in the future, or
Yeah, we're kind of thinking about it. We have our GTU car, the E30, that hasn't been raced in 10 years, and sitting in a bus in the backyard. And our shop is little bays in the back that we rent out, and one of the longtime guys that's been renting is going to move out. So the plan is to take it, put it in there, make the race car bay so we can go play with it some more.
Nice.
you already have all the things you need, or they're parts?
You never
and-
have all the things you need.
Do you
we think we have all the things we need.
do you look for other sponsors, or it's just straight red line? And
It's
that's all you do?
that's the toughest thing in racing. Everybody's a
people to
driver,
invest.
everybody's a mechanic, everybody's this, but nobody comes up with the cake. Back then, we used to be sponsored by Wales Rib. That was pretty cool.
Okay.
And then just various people, friends of ours, that give us $1,000 there, buy us a set of tires, stuff like that.
So this would be the way to go.
Yeah, but when we do this, we're going to run like HSR Vintage Race, which is actually the vintage cars are faster now than they were when they were actual cars.
Right. That's what I'm saying, because I watch a lot of the Goodwood and stuff like that.
Goodwood is awesome.
Yeah, and
Goodwood is the best.
But those cars are going faster than I think they ever did back
absolutely,
in the day.
100%.
And I don't know how they have the to do that, because if I owned that car, I'd be sitting there with my, like, you got to be nervous.
Okay, I went to Goodwood 5 years ago. There were 10 250 GTO Ferraris there. 35, 40, $50 million cars. They're racing 8 of them.
What?
They're racing GTO Ferraris, lightweight E-types, Sunbeam Harrington Le Mans, Bizzarinis, and they made one of them, and that's it. Those kind of cars are there.
Unreal. And now you watch them. Yeah. You would do the time trial. You watch them do the time trials and stuff. And some of those.
Well, there's two Goodwoods,
Yeah,
there's the festival and there's the revival.
Right.
The revival is the cool one because that's got the races in it.
That's got
they race 2.5 hours.
The circuits, right?
Yeah, there's a big road course.
The main thing I like about the time trial one, what is it called?
That's the festival.
The festival.
They race up the driveway of
the
manor.
I don't know who owns that place, but it's gorgeous. But
his name's on the tip of my tongue. It's Lord. It'll come to me in a minute.
Lord Farquaad. No,
he's cool, man.
I like.
He knows how to make money.
When they have the old ones out there, and you have the two guys. So the first guy's got a steering wheel, looks like a boat steering wheel. And he's going like this. And then you got the other guy on the other side pumping the oil. And he's lit.
He's pumping they pump up the gas tanks. They pressurize the gas tanks.
Pressurize the gas tanks.
Because there's no fuel pump.
Yeah. So you got the second guy like pumping. Could you imagine having to do that whole race back then in the 1930s or whatever the hell that was? 10s.
They're like 12-liter 4-cylinder motors. Turn like 6 RPM. Bump, 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 bump.
That's so crazy.
That's when they used to kill people all the time.
Yeah, they had one where the engine. I think it was an inline 12.
Yeah.
And the exhaust was side exhaust, and every time
it had a Merlin engine in it.
Yeah, every time he let off the gas, it was like fire all over the place. So like these guys, that's got to take.
Oh yeah.
Like next level, and they got out there. There's no seatbelts,
and they're on tires like this wide, like 2 inches wide,
and no seatbelts.
No seatbelt. The theory was you'd rather get thrown from the car than burned up in it, so that's why there were no seatbelts.
Yep, safer.
Yeah,
get as far away as
I'd rather
possible.
hit a tree with my head at 60 miles an hour. Oh yeah, okay.
That's crazy, man.
Cojones.
Yeah. On behalf of the Bearded Garagistas, I want to thank you for coming by.
Well, thanks for having me. It was a great time.
So if you guys need any BMW related services, Redline BMW.
954-783-7003.
There you go.
Call now, call direct.
Perfect. So thank you to Rennie. Had a great time tonight. You got anything to add?
No, it was great. Great hearing about the history of motorsports in America and Florida. Learned a lot of things, man.
We're going to have Rennie back on.
Learned a lot.
I feel like we have more to talk about.
Yeah, I think we just scratched the surface here.
Yeah. Really appreciate you guys joining us tonight.